Today I'm doing a review of my 2016 Yamaha R1. So ride with me as I talk about all the little pros and cons that I've dealt with in this 1-year journey of having this bike. So in my other video I spoke about the reason why I chose this bike and all those things, which were the reason why I chose the bike. You know, they came to be true from what I've seen during this year. The stuff with the electronics, the stuff with the weight of the bike. The weight of the bike, that's one thing I noticed from the start, from like the first week of owning it, when I was still shaky on it. I wasn't even going fast or anything, and I noticed just moving it like by hand or just moving it by hand or just getting it going, or maybe just turning, or just like little turns into this street, into that street, making a left or right. That was the first thing I noticed, was the weight of the bike. It's like, I think like 15 pounds less than the predecessor. 15 pounds doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're turning on these bikes, and these bikes already weigh in the 400s of pounds, and they have so much power, 15 pounds is a lot. You know, 15 pounds does make a difference. And it makes a big difference with this bike. I still feel on this bike like I'm not as good as I was with the other bike. With the other bike, I got to a point where I felt like I was one with the bike. You know, I felt really good at the track with it. I felt really good in the street. With this bike, yeah, you know, I go fast here and there and everything, but at the end of the day, I still feel like I'm still learning from it. And I feel like because of the rider aids and everything like that, from time to time, it helps me. Definitely helped me at the track last year, which I'm going to talk about later on in the video. But yeah, so when it comes to reliability, which is the first topic I want to discuss, so far, fingers crossed, it hasn't really given me a problem. The only problem was with the battery, and that was because they had the bike sitting there for a year. I bought it in 2017, and this bike is a 2016, so it was sitting on the showroom floor for a year. And I think these bikes use a little bit of electricity while they're off, because of all the electronics and everything that they have, saving all the memory and everything. And when I got it, I was, it was all right, but what I noticed when it was cold, or like if I didn't ride the bike for like over a week, I couldn't turn on the bike to save my life. Like I had to get my truck and connect like this battery tender that I had, and I had to do that every single time before I ride. Yo, it was so annoying. Oh my god, that was so annoying, having to charge the bike before you ride every single time. So eventually I went back and I explained to them what happened. Luckily there was some new guy there, and the new guy, he told me immediately off the bat, and he told the girl too, he said, listen, when that's happening, I already know it's a bad battery. So right off the bat, just go get him a battery. He changed the battery for me. I gave him a tip. Even though it was under warranty, I gave him a tip just because, he looked out and he helped out, because typically, they'll try to do everything. They want to do this test, they want to do that test, they want to keep your bike overnight. They'll do everything to not cover the warranty. This guy saved me, like, I was in and out in maybe like 25 minutes. This guy saved me so much of a headache. I was so happy with him. But other than that, it hasn't given me any other problems. But this is only 1 year, so I guess we'll see. So let's talk about the power. Definitely has some. Definitely has. I believe it's listed at 200 HP. Definitely has enough power. Would you like a bike with more power? Yeah, why not? Everybody always wants a bike with the most power, or a car with the most power. It's just human nature. But these 200 horsepower is, I'm telling you, is enough. Until you master this bike, you know, you don't need to really look for more power. I mean, this thing, it goes up in first, second, third. If you're really ripping it, you'll get it up in third, which is unbelievable for you to do a wheelie in third gear, you know. But on the power aspect, is strong enough. Yeah, one thing I really liked about the bike is that it comes with HIDs already, and these are really bright. Like when I ride with my friends, they tell me sometimes to like turn off the high beam because it's so bright. The bike already comes with HIDs, so you don't have to worry about going and buying HIDs and having to mess around with your lights. So that was definitely a big plus for me. And I like the little LED strips that make the bike look kind of mean, in my opinion. These things right here. And the blinkers too. The blinkers are LED, so they're right there integrated into the bike. You don't have no nasty blinkers sticking out. No offense to anyone who has that, but that's not my style. With these lights, you can see everything, man. In the nighttime, you can see everything. Like, it illuminates for, you know, you can see all these deer out here trying to kill you. Because I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. These deers out here, they're trying to kill you. You know, there's no way you can sit there, look at a moving vehicle, you know, come in 50, 60 miles an hour and say, you know what, let me go now. No way. These deers are up to something. So you guys, I'm telling you, you hear me now. Watch out for these deers, man. Get some good lights and watch out for these deers. They up to something. In my opinion, it's not really a hot bike. Some bikes are hot bikes when you're riding them in the summertime. You know, the heat comes right up from the bike and it just burns you. My 2010 R1 was like that because it had the undertail exhaust coming out the back, and the heat from the exhaust would come right up to the seat, and it would just keep me hot, like to the point I couldn't even stand it. If you wasn't moving, you wanted to just turn the bike off. This bike, if you can see, and I think a problem with the 2010 R1 was the fairings. The fairings it was like all one piece, so there really wasn't a place for the heat to dissipate. But on this bike, if you look, you see most of the engine is out. This piece right here, it's a big split right here, so that's a lot of heat from the headers, you know, and the head of the engine that's coming out. So that's definitely a big plus from this bike. It's not hot like the other one. The other one, it was like normal for the temperature to run at like 230, 240. That was a normal temperature for that bike. It was crazy. I thought the bike was gonna, you know, overheat, or the engine was gonna blow all the time. But it didn't. I want to get through a couple of things really quickly here. I want to talk about the suspension first. Suspension, like I said, you know, the bike is light. You know, the suspension, I'm not a pro rider, so I can't really tell you about how great the suspension is, but you know, it feels okay to me. You know, it's stiff because, you know, it's a sport bike, but it feels okay to me. You know, you get good feedback from it when you're turned over, but you know, then again, you also have all those electronics and everything, so the suspension is great. The trunk space, if you're looking for a bike with a trunk so you can put your coat in, don't even think about it. This bike, the trunk space is non-existent. There's no trunk space. If you're going to a girl's house, you could probably only fit your toothbrush in there, and you know, you'd be lucky if you fit that. The trunk space is just to like put a couple of papers in, you know, that's it. There's really no trunk space on this bike. Fuel. Now, fueling. When I first bought the bike, I was getting at about 100 miles out of the tank, and that was like kind of going fast and kind of not going fast. Like that was kind of like in the middle. I would get like 100 miles out of the tank, 100 and something miles out of the tank. Once I started riding it a little bit harder, I was getting maybe like in the high 90s. And now, after changing the exhaust, I have a SC Project CRT from the header back. After changing the exhaust, and I ride it hard a lot, I probably get like 90 flat. I probably get like 90 flat. So the fueling is not the best, but you know, it's a sport bike. It's a 1000, and then especially also, you know, the way you ride on this bike, you know, it's gonna determine how good your fueling is. Comfort level. Now the comfort level of the bike is a sports bike, so which one is, you know, is really comfortable? This, I mean, to me, I bought it, and even before I bought it, I said it was uncomfortable, but it wasn't as uncomfortable as other bikes I sat on. And then there were some other ones that were a little bit more comfortable. Like, I thought the Gixxer, the sitting position in the Gixxer, even though you're still, you know, crouched over because this is a sport bike, I thought they have a little bit more comfortability. But the bike it isn't the worst when it comes to comfort either, you know. It's just, you're kind of like a little bit crouched over, you know, just ready to go. I mean, this is like a track bike first, which is really what they were trying to achieve with this bike. So you can ride it all day, but after a while, my back and my legs start to hurt a little bit. So I gotta start making stops. But that's a me problem. That's from when I used to play football when I was younger. I heard a lot of stuff, so now it's like I'm a 20-something-year-old man in a 80-year-old man's body. Take you guys on a nice little curves through here. I think I gotta check my front tire pressure. I'm feeling really bouncy in the front. But let's talk about the electronics. The electronics on the bike, amazing. The electronics is one of those things that you never really know they're working till you know they're working, you know. And last year I actually had a little bit of a scare. It wasn't so much a scare, but I felt it. I was on the last left before the chicane at NJMP at the track, and I was really low, and I was trying to get by these two riders that were in front of me. They were running at a little bit of a slower pace. So I figured if I came in behind them hot, and then not hot, but you know, if I came in a little bit behind them, and then when the turns started entering where they slowed down a little bit, I could come around and take them on the outside. So that's exactly what I tried to do. So when I did that, I guess I was really low, and my tires were basically really bad at that point. That was like the last track day that I got out of them, and I was really low on the turn, and the tire, I guess, just slipped a little bit. I felt it. I felt the back shift. I didn't feel the slip. I felt the back shift, and that's where you get, you know, the slide control, because it shifted. But you know, typically you get something like that on a regular bike, unless you have really good, you know. So there's guys that are really good with the, you know, really good throttle control. You know, you could come out of that. But with the electronics, it backed me up. You know, it slid a little bit, killed the power very slightly to where I still had power to take to go around them on the turn, come up, get upright, go through the chicane, and come out the straight. And that right there, I was like, wow, this is a badass bike. There's been times I've been riding in the rain, and I've taken maybe a street where the street was bad or maybe like kind of dusty, and I was like doing like a slow turn, not like maybe like a 20-mile-an-hour turn, and the back just slid a little bit. The back slides a little bit and it kills the power. You know, so it's one of those things that you don't really feel it till you feel it. And they're amazing on this bike. You also have the wheelie control, so you know you can rip the throttle straight ahead, streamline, ripping the throttle, and the bike will go up, come back down, go up, come back down. I have it on the medium level because I like the I'm not gonna lie, I like the little when it goes up a little bit, kind of like the MotoGP guys. So I have it on the medium, so it goes up a little bit, comes back down. Let me see, man. You see, that wasn't full throttle, but it definitely went up twice. So I have it on the medium, but you can put it to the strongest level, which the bike will just maybe gently just glide a little bit up over the ground, but it won't really come up. So that's another one of those things that I like. One thing I kind of don't like, I don't like the unified braking system with the rear brake. I mean, I know they do all these things to try to help you, you know, and help like a regular common rider like us. But I kind of don't like it because it takes away the feel from the rear brake. The rear brake doesn't have that much stopping power. It slows down. Like right now I'm pressing it, it's slowing down. I felt the ABS come on and thing or whatever, but it doesn't have like its own like sense of power. And I know they do it so people don't jam on the back brake, but the brakes on this bike, basically they work like when you press the front, the back, without you pressing the back brake, it works also because there's a unified braking system.
Excellent stopping power. Plus, the track-tested racing ABS and unified braking system provide maximum braking performance in a seamless manner. UBS inhibits unwanted rear motion during braking by activating the rear brake when the front brake is applied, with force distribution based on the bike's attitude and lean angle.
But you can also press the back if you want on your own, but it just doesn't have that strong feel that my other bike did. So that's something that you definitely got to get used to. The front brakes in the beginning, they felt kind of, how you say, like they felt kind of soft, like you had to really squeeze on them. But eventually you get used to it. You gotta like squeeze like maybe 40% before you really start to feel that hard braking power. But recently I changed to some EBC race pads, and that made all the difference. I put the race pads on, and you know, and now when I touch it, the bike is ready. I'll do it right now. Let me see. You know, the bike is ready to slow down. The quick shifter on this bike, that's another big plus. When you're there just ripping it, and you don't have to, you know, I mean, I know now it's like almost standard, like on almost all bikes, but the quick shifter is nice. And I actually told my cousin Sean, I said, I'm probably not going to use it. I'm too used to using the old way. I wouldn't feel right using the quick shifter. You know what? I got used to using it real quick, and I like it. I love it. See that you could be in a turn and just shift, like, and the bike doesn't waver, doesn't wobble, anything. It's nice. It's nice. And this bike, when you come out of a corner and you come out of a corner and you just whip it, you rip that throttle, the front comes up a little bit, brings you back down. Oh man, that's a nice feeling, man. That's a nice feeling, especially with these like little curves up here. I just wish these like curves were like closed off, like the Isle of Man. baby. See, these are the parts of New York that I like. Well, I think this is Connecticut. But there's places like this in New York. I don't really like to do much city riding. Over here, you could actually get out, you know, get somewhere and open it up and actually take some nice turns and not deal with so many cars. You get enough speed on these hills, you could jump them. There I went airborne. There I took some flight. I don't like to be a douchebag, but sometimes you just gotta go, man. I definitely love the sound of this bike. That's one big thing that attracted me to this bike when I bought my first R1 is the sound of it. Just hear it. I love that cross-plane sound. You know, I like it because it's a little bit different than, you know, like the sound of a regular inline 4. And then the tone pitch actually changes when it gets to the higher RPMs. And to me, this is one of the best sounding bikes on the market. If not the best, to me, in my opinion, of course. This bike also has cornering ABS because the bike has a gyrometer. So basically, the bike knows how low you are to the ground and what's your lean angle at all times. So if you come into a turn hot and you press the front brake for whatever reason, maybe just to slow down just a little bit, the tire won't just kick in like it would on a bike, you know, without the cornering ABS. I'm not saying grab a fist load of front brake in the middle of a turn. That's not what I'm saying, so do not do that. But if you do happen to grab a little bit of brake, the front doesn't just turn like it used to do on my on the 2010. The 2010 has some really good brakes. The feel on the brakes is really good, but like I said, you know, if you press the front brake in the turn, that front wheel will turn, and that front wheel gives out. You got different power levels with this bike. You can mix and match. The customization on this bike is like a smartphone. You could mix and match every single thing that you want, whether it's the traction control, the slide control, the wheelie control, the power, how much power the bike is getting, the fuel delivery. You can literally mix and match anything to make it whatever kind of way you want this bike to be. Whether you're on the track, you can have different things for whether you're on the track, for when you're riding in the street. I just keep it in B mode. B mode is like a power down from A mode. A mode is like insane. Like the minute you blip the throttle, it's ready to go. I only ride on A mode is like if I'm riding with a couple of friends that I know like they get a little bit crazy. But yeah, you can customize pretty much everything on this bike when it comes in turns to the electronic rider aids. You also got a launch control. The launch control, you know, it's nice. It's a nice feature to have. Sometimes I think, what's the point? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really ever going to launch anywhere. Even at the track, you basically get let out onto the track. You can't just launch at the starting line. So it's like, you know, when am I really gonna use it? I've used it a couple of times, like just testing it out. Yo, the bike goes. I usually like punk out a little bit, and then I press I let the clutch out slowly, which defeats the purpose of the launch. But yeah, it has that too. If that's what you're into, it has the launch control too. That's okay. I don't see how you use it in the regular world, but it's definitely nice. It's definitely a nice thing to have, that they thought about making that for us, like a real MotoGP bike. Those people that talk about, oh, I hate the electronic rider aids. What's the point? You don't need them. We didn't have those before. The bikes didn't have that. Okay, that's fine. That's nice. That's your opinion. I like them. I had a bike. I've had bikes. I had a 1998 ZX9, 2010 R1, and this bike with the electronics. And what I can tell you is, if that's how they making them now, that's how I take them. You know, I like the electronic rider aids. It saves your ass a couple of times from certain situations. I don't see why not to like them. Like, what? Like, how good are you that you can say, oh, I don't need them? Like, you're not Rossi, you're not Marquez, you're not Vinales. You most probably the people that are saying this are the people that need the electronic rider aids. So that's just ignorant in my opinion. I'll tell you one thing, you're gonna like those rider aids when you go over a branch that just happened to be on the floor, or maybe a rock, and the bike kills the power a little bit and your ass isn't sliding off somewhere, you know, on the side of the road. There you're gonna appreciate those rider aids. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate everyone that watches our videos and likes and subscribes. You know, it keeps us motivated to make more. It also makes us happy to know that people like our videos. Please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more exciting content, and you can follow us on our journey in this bike life.